All right, let's take a look at doing some shielding here. Typically, we call it taming the single coil hum. The tools we're going to need for this job, we're going to use our small wire cutters, our needle nose pliers, our wire strippers, the small Phillips screwdriver, an X-Acto. We'll need a piece of dowel rod here to help put that tape down, a soldering iron, some solder, a paintbrush, some copper tape, a little bit of copper shielding paint as well. You don't have to have this, but I'm just going to show you how that works as well. Some stranded 22 gauge wire, and that should pretty much do it for us. So let's take a look now what we have here. Strat style guitar. Let's loosen up the strings. We're going to want to pull this pick guard off and take a look at what we have going on here. Okay, I like to do this in groups of 3, usually works pretty good, or groups of 2. Let's see what we have here. Take these 3 together. Now let's take this pick guard off. Let's ease this up. Flip her over. What we want to do here is get this pick guard out of the way, so we'll disconnect only what we have to. In this case, it looks like all we have to disconnect is right here. The wire coming from the jack. Looks like that'll do it. So let's just take our soldering iron here, and let's go ahead and disconnect this. Quick touch, she comes right off. Let's get these wires out of the way. That's awfully close to where that wire is, so I think I'm going to just cut that, and then we'll redo that when we go to put it back together, because if I try to melt this wire, I'm gonna melt right into the main wire here, and that's not going to be good. So we've disconnected it. Our pick guard's off. As you can see, this pick guard, it's already been shielded. We've got it's got an aluminum tape on it, which works well. So that'll work for the shielding on this side of the guitar. So we can take that and get it out of the way. One of the things we do like to do is to also shield these pickup covers. That really helps a lot. So let's go ahead and dismantle that. Let's take this rhythm pickup cover off. Show you how to actually do that. Just loosen that up and just drop that right out. Flip this over, keep the springs, there we go, catch those screws. All we need to do is get this cover off, and then we can shield inside that and put it back down. Sometimes they're on there pretty tight. Just slip that off. And we've got some shielding paint for this. Just open that up. The work. We'll just give ourselves a little place to set this. All we want to do is coat the inside of this paint. You can use tape as well. The shielding tape works, but this works a little better for this particular process. Just a little bit of paint inside there. Just cover it as good as you can. It's fairly easy to do. take a look at it. It looks pretty darn good. Okay, we can leave that set now and it can dry while we take care of the rest of this. And that is going to need to be grounded, so we are going to have to run a wire, and we run it right through the middle of the pickup. So we're going to need a little bit of stranded wire. We use green. We've used green for all the other grounds here. Take and sort of measure out. Looks like we'll need about that much. Cut that off. And we'll go ahead and put that in position. We'll strip a little bit on the end. And we just want to run a wire right through the middle of this pickup. You'll find most single coil pickups will have this hole right in the center. Not necessarily for this purpose, but it's there and we use it for that. We just take the wire, stick it through, and this part's bare. When we put that cover back on, it's going to touch that wire and therefore go to ground, so that that shielding will be attached to the ground and be good. So let's go ahead. I think we can put this back together now. It's had a little time to dry. Got our wire in there. Just carefully slip this back over. Be careful when working with pickups because there's just the tiniest little wire used to make a pickup, and it doesn't take much to break that. Put that back in place. Take our pick guard over here. Let's put our springs back on. There's our screwdriver here. Okay. Let's get this one here. And then we're going to go ahead and finish shielding. I've done some of the shielding already just because it takes a considerable amount of time, and I don't think we need to watch me shield an entire guitar. I think you'll get the idea by looking at it and seeing what we've done here, and then I'll do a little bit to show you how it's done. Okay, we've got our pickup back in here. The other thing we want to do with this, we have one more thing we want to do is bring this wire now to ground with everything else. I'm just going to slip it under here. We've got all these other wires right here. We're going to attach it right there. Let's just cut that off. Strip it back a little bit. And this is just one more part of the shielding process to get those covers. And we'll do the one. We don't need to do all of them. I think you've got the idea from seeing me do one, how it's done. Now what we want to do is just solder this right here with the rest of the ground wires. There we go. All right.